Welcome to our staff sharing session. It's jointly organized by the Center for E-Learning and CLT-NTU. We would like to invite Dr. Chitra, and we have 3 students with us, and thank you very much for being here. We have Grace, Iris and Siti. So over to you.
Thank you so much for coming for this session. As you know, what we're going to do in this session is talk about book posters that were actually created as part of a children's literature course. I'll give you the background to the creation of these book posters, the background to the course, which made it relevant for such a project to take place. And then, of course, my students will also share their experiences in actually using Glogster, what were the plus points, the minus points, and I'm sure we also have some people in cells who can add on information to the use of the software if there is some things that, certain, additional information that we were unaware of. All right? Okay. Let me give you a background to this project. Okay, I teach a children's literature course for the BA students and the diploma students. The main aim of this course is actually to orientate teachers to children's literature and how children's books are crafted. One of the key ways in which we conceive language acquisition to take place is actually to get children to read. But we feel that if our teachers do not know enough about children's literature and how children's books are written, what are the books that are available, then they're not going to be able to succeed to communicate their passion to the kids to then make these kids become avid readers, all right? So part of the course, apart from orientating teachers to children's literature, we also wanted to expose the teachers to as many books as possible, both in the local scene as well as especially overseas. All right, and also we wanted teachers to have information as to how to evaluate children's literature. There's good literature and there's bad literature. But the key reason why we did this project was because there was a need to expose teachers to as many books as possible. See, it's only when you have knowledge of the books that you can actually promote books in your classroom. So, but we had a constraint in our course. As you know, most courses in NIE run over 12 weeks, and that's it, okay? And the tutors in my course, as well as myself, given a 2-hour slot, can at most expose the teachers to only 3 books per session. All right, 3 children's books. So even if we tried our best and stretched it and did whatever we could in terms of analysis, at the maximum we could do is to expose our teachers to 36 children's books, which is hardly enough to actually make them advocates of reading, in the classroom when they actually graduate. So to increase the book exposure, an e-learning assignment was conceptualized. This assignment had 2 parts. The first part was actually to create a book poster using Glogster. All right, so everybody in the class, like I had for the DUE course, we had about 240 students, and for the AUE course, we had about 100 students. So because we were trying this for the first time, we made it pair work, but each pair had to create a book poster of a winning book. The assignment question was, create a book poster for what is going to be a winning book in the children's, in the primary classroom in Singapore. And we gave them 3 categories. First category was lower primary, any book that will be relevant to lower primary. Second category was upper primary, preferably chapter books. And the third category was boys and reading, okay? Because we all know in the international literature that boys are lagging behind in terms of girls in their literacy. And boys have got very idiosyncratic preferences for reading certain kinds of books. And very often the interest is not acknowledged in schools, and teachers find it very difficult to inspire boys to read. So one category was, I was using the boys in my classes to try and tell me what kind of literature they read, so that could then be a resource for teachers, all right? So that's the first part of the assignment. They had to, in pair work, they had to actually create a book poster. So altogether, for the AUE classes, we had about 50. For the DUE classes, we had about 120. So we have about 150 to 170 posters sitting on the site that can serve as resource. The second part of the assignment, which came 6 weeks later, all teachers had to go to their course site, all right? And they are supposed to go through all the different Glogs, select any 3 book posters that they liked, and tell me why they liked it. So the second part of the assignment was conceptualized so that teachers don't only look at just one poster or create one poster for one book, but they had a chance to browse at other people's book posters as well. And in the course, get to know a lot of books that they have not actually read. Okay? Why did we decide to use Gloucester? Siti will go into Gloucester afterwards and give you more information about the software itself. But for me, I had a chat initially with Shamini, then Jason, and we felt that, okay, they introduced me to Gloucester and they said that it's a great way of actually getting students to create posters because it has a few things. First, you will notice that whatever posters that are created is very, very attractive, all right? Secondly, it allows the use of multimedia. Like I can embed a video into it. I can also embed audio into it. Like I did a poster, on my own because I wanted to try it out before I gave it to my students as an assignment. And mine was on the Graveyard Book. It's a new book that has won an award by Neil Gaiman. And so when you go into my book poster, you will notice that immediately the audio comes and it's a very eerie music because it's the graveyard. All right? And then, of course, you have the entire Glog, which is, has a description, partial description of the book and its summary and why I think it's going to be a winner in the class. And in addition, I managed to embed a video because the Graveyard Book has got a movie coming up. So I also embedded the video into it so that the students can have a look. So these are the features of Gloucester. So it allows the use of multimedia. It is fairly easy to use. Of course, my students will give you a bit more information. There are some limitations as well. And there was a lot of scope for use of creativity. It was fun, because you can play with the colors. You can play with, all kinds of images that you can import, etc. All right? Okay, what are the advantages of this e-learning assignment? Well, like I said, several books have to be browsed before the first book is selected for the book creation. So the teachers had to go through many books. So in the course, they got to know a lot of other books. Then the pre-service teachers get to see not only their own class posters, but that of all the other course mates, all right? So while they were creating one, they posted it on the site, but they had the liberty to browse and look at other people's book posters. And we're hoping, this is something that we are contemplating, but we are not doing yet. We haven't done it yet. There is a potential for these posters to be actually converted into a resource, both for pre-service and in-service teachers. Why do we think this is important? Because if you go to the net, of course there are book posters available, but they're not as dynamic as these ones with video and music embedded. And secondly, you'll find that many of the book posters on the net have not been selected for a Singapore classroom. Whereas here, the students have kept in mind the audience, and we've got it in categories, and we think it will be a great resource. Okay? So this is the background that I'm going to give you, and now I'm going to get Siti to give you an idea of Gloucester itself. And what Grace and Iris will then do is to share their own experiences in terms of creating their own book posters, and they will also show you their book posters. All right? Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Hi, good morning. I'm Siti. And for me today, I'm actually going to show some of the features that you can find in Gloucester, whereas Iris and Grace have already created their own Gloucester, and they will share their experiences of what they have done and some of the limitations that you might encounter when using it. So for myself, and I think for for the rest of us, in NIE we are only exposed to Gloucester when we are in NIE. So this is our time to actually try out new ICT softwares to try out in class. So we are fairly new to it, but at the same time, it was a good exposure to us. And I will show you why actually Gloucester is actually easy to use. I'm not sure if you have used it before, but you have to create an account to go into Gloucester, and everything is already here. I will show you how it's actually created. Okay, you will have this select a Glock format, and for us usually we use the normal poster format. Okay, for here, right, there are a lot of features. For example, you can, as mentioned by Dr. Chitra, you can post in videos, images, as well as the graphics that are already available for us on Gloucester. It might take some time to load. For us, we are using the account that is free. There are some limitations, but so far it's been okay for. It has already enough features for us to create a wonderful blog. Okay, that's 3%.
How many of you have used Glogster before? No.
Okay, one.
Is there a limit, a space limit for uploading?
So far there's no problems with, because it's a A4 canvas. There's only so much that you can put, but the more you put, the slower the loading. So it's better not to put so many videos. I'm not sure about the premium account or for that matter. Okay, while this is loading, maybe I'll just go through. There's some examples of Gloucester. This is actually, it's also part of Gloucester, but it's solely for education. So if you can see here, these are some examples of some posters that have been used. Like, this is taught to teach history, and these are created by students lah. So I think I saw one that is for, like, they made a poster just solely on periodic table. So it's something that our NIE student teachers can do. It's possible to do. Later you will see why. And everything, there are some more testimonials of teachers who have used this. So this is from all over the world lah. So all of these teachers have used this in their classroom. So it's best for us student teachers to use what is already available in the internet internationally. Okay, so these are the features that we have, that Gloucester has. For wall is actually the background, and you can actually choose whatever that they have given. As you can see, there are a lot of choices that you can use. So there's plenty, and maybe you can go through with it. Okay, for example, if I choose this, the moment I can even choose whether I want it to be stretched on or in fill lah. But for this, the moment I click use it, it's automatically at the back, and I can continue on adding text. And even text itself, there's a lot of graphics that's available. So it's all already inside. All our student teachers have to do is just click on it and type in any text that they want. So no matter how you go about with it, the Gloucester will look very attractive because all the colours that's available is quite amazing. Okay, so another feature is that if they are more resourceful in a way, they can find their own pictures online. So there's even a Google feature here. They can directly type what they want. For example, they want to type chalkboard. They can find it everywhere on Google because it's linked, and just instantly put it in their poster. And there's this feature for audio and also for video. This one has to be uploaded, whereas video, you can put it directly from YouTube by using this thing called the link here, or you can use our own videos by uploading it. Okay, this one is the last one I think that you can find. These are actually, for example, in Microsoft there's clip art, right? For Gloucester they have their own clip art, which is quite plenty. So all this makes the poster quite attractive and is quite user friendly in a way that the moment you click it, you know what are the options that you can be done. You know that it can be rotated. You know that you can edit it here. The moment you click it, all the options are available. So it's quite user friendly for that matter. So now I'm going to pass on to Iris to show how share her experiences on using Glogster.
Thank you, Melda. Okay, so before I begin, just show you the link. So if you want to actually visit someone's blog, you have to actually give them the link, okay, of which they will then click the link, okay, which will then direct you to the blog itself. Okay, so depending on how many things you actually upload into your blog, okay, the time, depending on how much things you actually download on the blog, so it will just take that amount of time to load. So this is actually our blog. We actually based it on, targeted it at lower primary pupils on the book Zoe Wins the Race. So because this is a picture book directed at lower primary pupils, we wanted to make it as colorful as possible with pictures that will capture the pupils' attention. And of course, a very short summary for the pupils to read and to actually attract them to borrow the book from the library. And we decided to put a picture of the book in the Gloucester itself so that pupils will be able to identify, with the book, can easily identify with the book. Okay, all these images that you see, this stand over here, this board, all this, the footprints and the background, it can actually be found in Gloucester itself. So as you can see, there's actually a variety of images that you can actually use. So personally, I feel that Gloucester is a very useful tool for us as teachers to use. Not only can we show our book reviews to our pupils, we can actually introduce Gloucester to our pupils, whereby they will be able to do their book reviews online in Gloucester. Because of all these images, I believe it will be more engaging as compared to what you have what you actually do normally in class, where pupils actually do their book reviews in their exercise book using pen and paper and with their color pencils and stuff like that. So with all these images and colors, and I believe it will actually engage them further, and they can actually post their link up in their in an online platform whereby pupils can actually click the link and then they can go and visit their friend's Gloucester. So one limitation I face is that I was actually trying to edit the blog using my iPhone. So I could not actually do it because this is actually using Flash Player. So because this is actually Flash Player supported, I cannot actually do it on the go. So I have to actually use a computer whereby, it is actually supported by the Flash Player itself. Yeah, so iPhone and iPad users, it may be a little difficult for you. Okay, so that's about it for my personal experience about the blog. So now I will get Grace to tell you more about it.
Hi, now I'll show you the blog that Rauda and I have done. So it was based on this book that we reviewed for lower primary students called The Cow That Went Oink. And as you can see, all these, except for images like this, the rest, the title, the bubbles, the text of the cow, it's all found in Gloucester. So there's really a whole variety of images and wallpapers that you can play around with. And it's really easy to use. And so you can create very different posters as well. One thing that there are certain limitations that we faced. One of them is that you can't print. With your free account, they do not allow you to print the entire page. So you can't really make a hard copy of this. Of course, if you pay for a premium account, I think it's possible too. Another thing is that you can't see it full screen unless you scroll it all the way down. Yeah, then it becomes really tiny. But generally, it's really quite good as an online poster. And also, your pupils are able to give comments at the bottom. So if you want this for student teachers or for classes in school, that's a good tool to have. Another limitation is that you have to be careful about using images and sounds because some of them are copyrighted. So you need to remind your student teachers and for their students to use images that they are legal to use. Yeah. However, it's a really good resource. I think it's good for you to expose your student teachers to it like Dr. Chitra did for us in DUE. Subsequently, I put this in another module's lesson plan because I found it really good for upper primary students onwards to use. I think it makes learning engaging for them. It exposes them to more ICT. And you know, students in school, they love using ICT. Student teachers as well. And another really big plus point for Gloucester is its ability to embed multimedia elements. So we have a video here and audio here, so just a short snippet for you to... Yeah, so you can embed videos. Yeah, okay, can. Okay, now, then the audio is over there. Yeah, so you can, it's really easy to use. One thing that was really good for us for DUE was that Dr. Chitra came up with like a sort of a manual to teach us how to use it in PDF, and it was, so just following it was really easy. So you might want to create that for your student teachers as well.
That actually came from cells, not from me.
Oh, okay.
So thank you, cells, for assisting.
Yeah, so basically that's all for our presentation. Are there any questions that you might have? Oh, yeah, okay.
More background to the. Let me just add a little bit more, then we'll open it to Q&A. If you notice the book poster that we have created, I mean, how the students have created the book poster. Can you go back to yours, Grace? Okay. How the students have actually created the book poster, it depends on the instructions given by the tutor. So for me, because I wanted this to be a resource for my teachers to be able to choose books for their students, there are a few things that I required them to do. They have to have the title, and I think further down they had to give me the ISBN number, right? Yeah. Hers is up there, okay, the ISBN number, the author, and then in addition, the students had to give me a partial summary of the book without revealing the ending, all right? So here's your partial summary. And finally, they had to tell me why they think this book is going to be a winner in the classroom. So the purpose of that is for teachers to actually then have a look at it and say, hey, is this what I want, to bring into my class for my students? But I can imagine that something like that will actually be great for students themselves to create, where students can advertise the books that they think that they read that were really good, and they want to introduce it to other friends, and then their text will be slightly different because they are selling the book to friends who haven't read them. All right? Okay, now we are open for Q&A. Any questions that you want to ask us? Or?
Are there any opportunities for your student teachers to critique one another's work?
Well, yeah, the second assignment, they actually reviewed other people's, Glogsters, but then I didn't ask them to critique it. I just asked them to select 3 that they liked and state why they liked it. Okay? So there was opportunities as e-learning, but my intention was not really to get them to critique it, but really to browse through the other book posters so that they get to know more children's books at the end of the course.
I think one of the affordances in Gloucester, it leverages on lots of social media. There's a star rating system and a comment section, just like like YouTube. And if students in schools were to use this, I'm sure they will want to
know what is the rating of the...
of peer rating system, and to engage them further, not just in the creation, but also in the... Because the critique process, I think, is very powerful.
Definitely.
It's a very powerful thing, because they then take the standpoint of an assessor or even a teacher,
Yeah.
They
You see,
reprocess.
I think the good thing about it is that you can actually comment, you know. So if a student actually picks up the book and it doesn't live up to the expectations, they can actually comment, you know, like I said, it would be great. But, you know, like I said, we haven't really explored the possibility of turning this into a resource for in-service and pre-service. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, my students who created the blogs are very happy to actually, have it, as a resource. But I think we need to go through procedures like make sure there are no copyright issues, etc. It's something that we will be discussing with Sal.
For the student teachers, did you have the opportunity to look at one another's blogs and sort of, want to say something about it? I think this part is great, this part's inaccurate.
Students in school as well.
Yeah, actually, when we view our peers' Gloucester, we sort of have more exposure to different blogs. For example, personally for me, some of my classmates, they actually did on the book Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So they included videos and sounds that were really attractive. So I can actually learn from them through this. Yeah.
But you didn't use the comments or the star feature?
Oh no, because we were supposed to actually.
They went back to discussion board.
Okay.
Yeah. We could easily do that, I think. Yeah. Thanks for that. That sounds like a real interesting, Now I know what to do for my next e-learning assignment.
Yeah, because it's all there.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
I wanted to ask, so everything is go online, right? You
Yeah.
can't actually change it into offline resources.
I don't think so. I think that is something they have to ask,
We'll show you how.
Yeah.
We can show you how.
It can be done, huh? Okay.
So the second thing is like, is it possible to install certain things like, how should I say? First question is like, can it embedded into, some of your page or sites that you already have? So, of course,
So
one
it's
of
like a link.
yeah, the link thing is like they have to come to this link, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes you can actually embed it in a Google site.
If I can
They're-
take
they're
that question,
showing
yes, you can.
Yeah.
They're showing
You
you
can.
now.
Yeah.
Click on it. So
Yeah.
just a question though, because recently, if you go into Gloucester now, they will give you an apology notice saying that there's some problems at the moment. So if they're still trying to figure it out. So for now, if there's any problems, don't be discouraged because it will be solved. Because previously there wasn't any problem. It's just now they're making some changes.
I think it's adding on new features. It's a bit more, not very stable, but then we haven't really lost any of our book posters.
Is there a restriction like how many poster you can map in one account? So it's currently still very open.
I think if you create your own account, you can create, right?
We are supposed to create an account and you can post as many blogs as you want. It works like a blog. Like
Yeah.
there's no limitations to your blog account. And there are some people who actually use this as their blog. They put mood boards like daily. Yeah. Because it's connected to Facebook, so
Oh,
so it could be their social life too.
Like I said, I'm looking at for me, it was very useful for children's literature because the children basically need information on books that are really going to make a good read. But if you notice, like what Siti showed you, you can also use it in other subjects like history and all that, where, you create a poster for a particular topic, etc.
How do you create that scroll bar thing? And then another question is, can you create links outside?
The scroll bar thing, when you use the text account, I'm just close to. But if you use the text box, the moment it exceeds the limit, it will automatically insert a scroll bar. So you have to insert it. It's already there. And the link, what's the second question?
Can you link to outside?
Can you link to outside?
Embed a link.
Yeah, you can hyperlink it to outside as well.
we can link this, but I'm not sure.
You can put it
The
in.
link, it allows you to
It's essentially a web page, so you can.
Yeah. And not just primary, I think even for higher education, they have used this as a portfolio to introduce yourself, your highlights, key highlights, your achievements.
Yeah.
So for primary, definitely it's good, but you can do a lot more than that.
We're just looking at other languages, like Sita, do you think?
Yeah, I think I use for Tamil. I will try with my daughter. Because she has a lot of storybooks. She doesn't like to write any reviews.
Because I think you can, but you can put in the Tamil font, right?
Yeah, the Unicode fonts you can.
You PDF it and you just put it in, right? Okay. So I think you can. It's really quite versatile.
Other than the possible resource for in-service and pre-service teachers, do you have other thoughts on how you might leverage on what you've already started with Gloucester? How you might extend what it is you've already done?
Well, I mean, like I said, we are always looking for creating an impact on schools, right? I mean, if we put this on a platform for sharing with schools, I can imagine teachers will come on board, give their comments, etc. So it becomes like, a site that teachers go to, people who are really interested in promoting reading. Because you find that one of the biggest challenges in the English classroom is actually bringing in books that will be ready winners. So, if you can have teachers who actually tried out the book and then they add in their comments, hey, this was a really, I saw this poster and, it really worked in my class with the boys, or it didn't work, why? So all these are going to be very useful information that can be added on, definitely. Yeah.
I think there are a few schools who have already jumped on the Gloucester bandwagon.
Have they?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I've had HODs, ICTs who take my elective course, and they one or two of them have showcased what they've done on Gloucester already.
I had a request from one of the clusters in Clementi, West Coast, to allow them access into it. So again, like I said, I have to clear the copyright issues, etc., before we actually allow them.
I think that kind of collaboration is really good. I mean, you kind of feed off one another's ideas.
Yeah, definitely. And I can imagine people adding on even more posters as we go along.
And what you do here gets extended outside. And
Precisely.
What happens outside informs what you do inside.
Yeah.
So, it's a very productive cycle.
That's right, yeah. So, definitely. So like I said, if I'm granted access, I will be showing it to that cluster. And of course, with Sita, I belong to a Tamil language
If you do
promotion
4
committee.
languages together, then it will be very small. We can get all the teachers. In fact, it will be great.
So,
Anyone else on ELC here? Not yet?
yes.
Should get the Malay and Chinese.
Yeah, I think the Malay and Chinese. I think it will be really useful for Tamil because there are lots of Tamil books that are hiding in National Library that nobody knows about. So we need a few students to create posters that other students can then look at, Then it's also available through the mobile library and all that,
So I have a question about how we put the keywords so that the people outside can actually search your Gloucester. Because I went to their homepage and then they do have like a search, like you put in the keywords and then they will come out. So they will show you like the collection of that. So how we do the keywords thing so that when the poster go to public, then people can search it easily. I don't know whether it's a title of the poster itself or.
I think I've got to give a name to the entire site that will, like promoting reading or something like that. Then, or children book posters for,
So when I design the poster, they don't have the category like we mentioned about the keywords or something, because the video on YouTube currently they actually allowed you to. They have one bar saying that what keyword you want to put so that you can get your audience. I don't know whether these also have these pictures.
I think when you create a blog, it allows you to actually put it into a specific category. And if I'm not wrong, you can actually manually key in a keyword as well, if I remember correctly. Yeah.
So they have the keyword, the
text
blanks.
box for you to fill in. And then there's a combo box for you to select which category your glog belongs to.
Okay,
Yeah.
right, we can set.
But I think in case of what Chitra just shared, she's looking at setting up like a resource portal that hosts all these blogs. So we've been in discussion with her, and we're thinking of using another platform to actually kind of like embed and include all these blogs. So it could be Edmodo or Facebook, anything like that. So it makes searching easier.
Sorry?
Yes, CL can be. Oh, you want the manual, is it? Yeah, we can.
Yeah, you can. I think Jason,
Yeah, Jason.
yeah, he's got the, you can ask him to, maybe you can leave your name with them. He's got the link here. Very clear instructions, very easy to use. I had no calls from my students, so they all carried on with the, Shamini and Jason did a marvelous job on that, so I had no problems at all.
I think if no more questions, let's thank Dr. Chitra, and here's a small gift.
Thank you very much.
And thank you to our student teachers, Siti, Grace, and Iris,